yeah, that was a 10 billion damage Incinerate tick. I mean, now we're cooking! Hello, my fellow sorcerers, then. I am back, having investigated new buffed Incinerate, and the result of said investigation is... it's good. It's actually really good. Well, the damage is really good. Well, it's really good compared to, you know, not Spiritborn. Well, it's really good compared to General Torment 4. You're still not going to be pit pushing with this. It's still not as good as Fireball, but it is really good. Essentially, it's gone from like a, I don't know, C tier endgame build to like a high A, maybe kind of scratching at the lowest rung on S Sorcerer build, which to say it's Incinerate, which really only had its premium status for leveling, which by the way now is like ultra mega premium. Season 7 Incinerate leveling is going to be fire. No, I'm not gonna stop doing them. I am actually really chuffed with this. But look, watch it kill Torment 4 Duriel. It certainly passes the kill him before he burrows test and then some. Like, that's impressive. Now let me address the elephant in the room. Incinerate still feels really awkward to play in proper endgame, and it's not for the reason you might think, which is that you have to stand still all the time. I actually don't mind that. It can be quite fun to stand in the middle of like a Blood Maiden or Infernal Hordes and just spin the fire around and melt everything. You know, it's part of the spell. But the real irritation is that every time you press Ice Blades, every time you teleport, every time you press your Lightning Spear, every time you summon a familiar, you have to stop channeling the bloody thing, which not only feels awkward and unfun, is a massive hit to your uptime and therefore DPS, and it just makes the entire playing of it feel a little bit unnecessarily bumpy. If Incinerate got buffed to let you cast most things, pretty much everything but teleport should be, while channeling, it would be phenomenal. As it is though, we have gained kind of fireball levels of damage, which is ludicrous and amazing. I've seen this tick up to 15, 20, 30 billion. If I had perfect gear, that's the kind of ranges that we would be consistently in, which is just fantastic. So the actual buffs it got was the base damage went up, overheating aspect just became your Incinerate now does double damage as base, so 1.5 on your amulet, and then on top of all that, the key passive combustion upgrade means that we now have, and are you ready for this? At least in my current gear, an extra 265% multiplicative damage on top of the 60 just from combustion at base. Yeah. That is a hefty buff. Incinerate has essentially gotten about 14 times stronger than it was before. So it's hard to really complain at that, and if Spiritborn was brought down to us mere mortals with everything fixed, this would start to look actually quite impressive. I feel like billions should be where things top out, because anything past that is a little bit silly. So I am really happy with this, and it's really fun to play. It's something different, and I really do recommend giving it a go as we sort of amble through the mid-season and then eventually towards Season 7 in January. So the real interesting thing before we get into the nitty-gritty here is that it says now you deal an extra 25% of your bonus damage to burning enemies. So if we go to the Paragon, you'd kind of naturally look at something like Flame Feeder, but it actually does nothing. The big winner is Torch. This, increasing your burning damage, has made everything happen. So I have Torch here. If I take Torch out and go back to that combustion, we drop down to 101. So the Torch glyph in this build is worth 140% multiplicative more damage, which is just hilarious. 160, actually. So, yeah. let's get into it. Skill tree then is fairly straightforward. 2 points anywhere just to move on to our cause, where we fill up Incinerate, go into Enhanced, and then finally Destructive for that lovely damage reduction. This build really is quite tanky. Now, for your enchantment slots, you can take Incinerate to get the permanent extra Incinerate beam, which is a particularly large damage increase and certainly worth it against bosses. However, if you are mobbing and mass killing lots of things is more important, then Ice Blade Enchant is certainly the way to go, and it is especially if you have an amulet with lots of Conjuration Mastery on, but you really can't go too wrong with either, and I find Incinerate Enchantment more fun for, yes, bosses, but also, you know, big numbers. In any case, then we fill out our Elemental Dominance, and then enough Potent Warding to make sure you are resistance capped. Over to Defensives, where we get the usual teleport into Enhanced and then Shimmering, grab yourself full Glass Cannon for the free damage, and then Ice Armor into Enhanced, and finally Mystical. You can take Shimmering if you prefer for some more uptime. Following up from that then, we go over to our Conjurations, where we get new Familiar into Enhanced and then Invoked. We try and always keep out a Fire Familiar to gain that 10% multiplicative increase. Max out your Precision Magic. Lucky Hit is very valuable here because we want a permanent Flame Wall up, which we'll get to in a moment. Full into Mana Shield, Conjuration Mastery, and then Protection 2. Get your Ice Blades, take them to Enhanced and then Summoned, and finally your Lightning Spear to Enhanced and then Invoked. Moving over to your Masteries, where we fill out your Inner Flames, and then grab just the old 1 rank of Firewall, so then we can then take Enhanced, and finally Mages. We essentially just want enemies to always be burning from a Firewall, and this is applied through the enchantment, and that just means an extra, hopefully permanent 25% multiplicative more damage. Over to your ultimates then, where we get Permafrost and then Hoarfrost, as we'll be freezing enemies with tempers, so this is free damage. Then we'll get the free cooldown reduction alongside more free damage because we have the spare points with elemental synergies, and then into Fiery Surge, so we can max out Soulfire, and then most importantly, grab that Endless Pyre. That bonus increase to 225 really is quite ludicrous on top of new combustion once it kicks in. Then grab your Coursing Currents into Electrocution, just some more damage reduction from Teleport and the Lightning Spears, and then yes, the newly buffed Combustion as our key passive. Gear-wise, aspects, uniques, affixes, all of that loveliness, then let's get into it. Starting with your staff, and it needs to be a staff because we need a two-handed to double flamethrowers. Staff is also particularly good in this case because the implicit is damage over time. In any case, whack flamethrowers on your staff and enjoy that ludicrous damage increase from both the literal damage increase and the triple beams. This is still the single most important aspect for Incinerate. Then over to your amulet for the second now most important aspect, the newly changed and buffed overheating, that is literally just you get 150% multiplicative more damage on your Incinerate. It's just straightforward, it's monstrous, and it is brilliant. Then on your gloves, you want to have Conflagration for the other 45% more multiplicative damage while incinerating, and the explosions too, which I've seen actually hit like a truck as well, so that's really, really nice. Then on your legs, I've gone with Fortune, just so we can have that firewall happen as much as possible, but you could also take the daze and do more damage to dazed enemies if you prefer. Then we have ourselves the uniques. You want your Rakenov's Wakes for the all resist, the cooldown reduction, and basically we just can't really get away without them. We need to make sure we are capped, and this does a great job for that. Though I have had a little mess around with Yen's Blessing too, and you can get away with it if you prefer. It does help a little bit with the having to stop channeling to use other abilities by auto-casting them for you. Then we go on to Tal Rashes for that monstrous 75% multiplicative increase and all the delicious affixes that we love to have. Then we go to your mythic uniques, where we want Shroud of False Death for the +1 to all passives. Fire passives are particularly good, so this is extra nice to have on Incinerate. Perdition, just for the 60% multiplicative, would already be good enough, but the lucky hit and the core skills is really good here, even if the crit chance is kinda useless. Talking of crit chance being useless, Ring of Starless Disguise still gets used because simply the core skills and the 50% multiplicative is very, very nice and just about pulls even with using a regular legendary ring with another burning damage increase aspect on it, so you may as well. The lucky hit's also really nice for the firewall uptime. That about covers that then, and as always, make sure you've got your armor cap and your all resist cap. So we go into affixes. On your staff, you want to have intelligence, maximum life, and then damage over time. It really is a monstrous amount you can get and very, very useful. On your gloves, you want very specifically damage over time, ranks to incinerate or core skills, and intelligence. On your legs, you want your armor, max life, and intelligence, and on your amulet, you ideally want % intelligence, ranks of endless pyre, and ranks of conjuration mastery. Don't fret too much over getting the perfect one, just 2 nice damage increasing affixes. One of them is a passive skill, and you will be good to go. Gems and rune-wise then, in your staff you want increased damage over time, in your jewelry you want armor, and in your armor you want intelligence. For the runes, you want yourself cast a skill with a cooldown, and then Barbarian's Warcry, and then you want stand still while fighting, and I like Spiritborn's Vortex. Pull everyone into your triple incinerate beam and quite literally watch them melt. As for how to play it, fairly simple. Use your teleport to get around the place and reposition your incinerate beams as efficiently as possible, and then you always ideally want to be literally on top of someone's face while channeling the incinerate. Other than that, use lightning spear and ice blades on cooldown. Make sure you always have a fire familiar out, ice armor as you need it, and then just channel away and watch the numbers tick and tick and tick. Just got 3 10 billions in a row there. Yep, that's rather nice. And it's very much straightforward. You just stand there and channel and have fun. The only real tip I have for you is the overheating. If there's a while between combat, you can just keep it refreshed by just casting a little incinerate, so the buff never drops. You don't have to wait the 2-second warm-up time, but it's rather minor. Mercenaries wise, for your reinforcement, you want yourself Rahia, and you want him to be giving you Bastion for just a lovely bit of damage reduction, but honestly, the reinforcement doesn't matter too much to incinerate, so choose whatever you prefer. On the other side of things, though, we certainly want our Subo here, because he is going to give us a lot of goodness with Scorched Earth here, an extra 30% multiplicative more damage over time, and he'll be pumping that out every 11 seconds, so yeah, that works out nicely. Then you can go down to Explosive Charge, and then finally Thrill Seeker, just for a little bit of cooldown reduction, and he will do the best for you. For your tempering and your masterworking then, offensively you want fire damage on your staff, on your gloves, and your amulet. Then secondarily on your staff you want chance for incinerate to deal double damage, on your gloves you want very specifically chance to freeze, and on your amulet I like lucky hit chance with a random conjuration, but also your familiar duration is really quite good too, so you don't have to recast your fire familiar as often, but it's not super critical. On your legs then, you want again chance to freeze and then % total armor so you can make your armor cap. When it comes to your masterworking, hit the damage over time, hit your endless pyre or other passive skill ranks, and then of course hit your ranks to core skills if you can, and you will be golden. That leaves Paragon then, which for Incinerate is actually a little bit of a shuffle. So follow me point for point, let's do this thing. Grab Elementalist on top right, and as we go, again, get every single useful magic node around the place. You will have more than enough points to do so if you have more than me. I already have essentially everything this could need at 264 points to spend, so just grab kind of whatever once you have what I'm going to show you here. Pass up through Resilience into this glyph slot where we will find Exploit. It's kind of fine, this glyph. We sort of struggle a little bit because we can't use Destruction, and honestly, Unleash probably is still going to be better than Exploit. It's not really, it's just kind of of a filler at this point. The other glyphs really do the heavy lifting, but either exploit or unleash. In any case, grab Studied, grab Elemental Balance, activate the glyphs, get all of your magic nodes, and on to Fundamental Release with the glyph closest to the gate, and we want to head right up past Lightning Cutter and then to the glyph. This is where the all-important torch comes in, and if you really care about Incinerate, get this to level 100. It makes a massive difference, and then grab yourself every little bit of willpower in radius of the glyph to get it as amped as it possibly can be. Also, grab yourself Elemental Balance, and then head up on the left this time to the legendary node, getting this extra little bit of willpower too, and then we want to get Electromagnetism, you want Overdrive, you want Kindling, and you want Suffused Resilience all around this lovely little quartet of magic and rare nodes. Then we want to first head up to the top through the north gate and into Frigid Fate, where we're going to head up to here and then go right to Oppressive before continuing to the glyph, where we slot and activate Elementalist, grabbing Elemental Fervor, going through Weakness, down here to Guarded, and then round to Frigid Fate itself before poking up here to get a little bit more lucky hit for that Firewall uptime. Then we want to head left past Electromagnetism into what will be our Burning Instinct for, another 90% multiplicative more burning. So arrange it like this: glyph at top right, we go to this strength, straight up to the glyph, slot and activate Tactician. We can ignore Explosive because critical strike damage doesn't do anything for us, so we only need to get Cinders and then the Dex to activate said Tactician before heading left at this willpower, down through Kindling, ignore the crit but do get the burning, and then all the way through Keeper of Flames to Burning Instinct, and yes, down from the strength to eventually grab Safeguard 2. Then we can head right past Overdrive into your Enchantment Master board, arranged with the legendary bottom right, glyph top left, go to this willpower up to the glyph, slot and activate Pyromaniac for the extra damage building as you channel your Incinerate, and also grab yourself Tactical and then Elemental Balance, activate everything, get your magic nodes, and then we head back down to this willpower right to Ruinous, and then continuing on all the way to Suffused Resilience, and then down to Enchantment Master, so we do have a higher chance at spawning the firewalls. That then is your Paragon board. Again, if you've got more points, pick up the random little things that I don't here, like this damage reduction, like Safeguard, and then literally anything else that you want, like Smouldering Embers. Other than that, this thing is solid and will get the job done. That then is that. The honestly big winner for Sorcerer of the mid-season patch, and a really, really strong, fun build in its own right now, and honestly, more than anything, I'm just looking forward to Incinerate leveling in Season 7, because it's actually going to be ludicrous with just how much more powerful it has gotten. Let me know what you think if you're still playing along, and I totally wouldn't blame you if not. For now, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.